What's up, Solar Warriors? What's up, Solar Warriors? Today is Tuesday, August 27th, 2024. My name is Jarrett McAllister, the virtual Solar Pro, and this is Tuesday Training. If you're watching it on YouTube or Facebook live stream, make sure to like and subscribe, share it with your fellow solopreneurs so we can help them brothers and sisters out. Today, I am alongside my co-host, Mr. Jonathan Bernasso and Mr. Tommy Cotter. What's up, gents?
Good morning. Good afternoon, everybody.
Howdy, howdy. Happy Tuesday. Ready to rock and roll, Jarrett.
All right, let's rock and roll. We got a great training for you guys. We actually have, I don't know if we've ever done this before, but back-to-back weeks with the same guest because the dude is straight fire, as the kids would say. Mr. Jonathan Charles Wilson going to train on what he trained on Solar Saturday, and it's incredible. It's epic. You're going to want to stay tuned for this. But before we get to that, let's get to success stories, shall we? So if you have a success story over the past week, and we were just talking about numbers Power's doing, there should be at least 100 success stories in the chat. We want to hear from you. Raise your hand, drop it in the chat. All this Fathom recorded. Jordan, don't make me laugh right now. That's funny. All right. Mr. Jared Foster, this dude's a stud. He actually has a lot of success outside of Power, doing incredible things. But what you got, brother?
No, absolutely. Thank you so much. Thanks, everybody. So, yeah, I'm excited to announce. I didn't see if he's on the call, but one of my partners, Miguel Laura, we were able to help two of his clients go solar last week. And one of the clients is also coming onto the platform. I'm going to get her all trained up and ready to go. She's excited to take it to her nursing network. So she's been with Kaiser for many, many years. And she's like, she always gets asked about solar, and now she's going to be a solar owner. So she's fired up. So yes, thank you so much for, watching everything that I was doing this last week. And at the same time, still being able to help people go solar. So a good kudos off to Miguel Laura.
Yeah, congratulations, Miguel. I saw that notification come through this morning that you made tier 2. So congrats, Miguel.
Congrats, Miguel. And I just want to highlight what he just said about the nursing community. So I recently, I don't know, in February or March, signed up a nurse, and she vetted me through 10 different companies, landed on going with moi. I was very honored. But that is a very tight-knit community. They're very busy. They have a lot going on. And when people were asking her about her solar, referred me to them, which referred me to someone else. I'm on like my 4th or 5th project with them, and it's awesome. So you take care of them. They take care of everybody else. Everybody wins. It's great. So yeah, dipping into that community is very beneficial. So great job, Jared. All right. Do we go Jonathan or do we go Bill Conley? Jonathan?
It's Bill. Oh, Bill.
Okay. All right. Mr. Conley, sir,
yeah.
Good to see you.
Good morning, Jared. Nice to see you and see you all. Happy to be here. Just fighting for that last little bit of trying to get into the impact journey. Very close. Just signed a personal ambassador deal yesterday for 3 points. And looking like we're having 3 mentor deals this week. So it's been a very good week. I just want to congratulate Jared Foster on his remarkable success, and been neat to watch him grow and do so many things. And as you said, be a super part of the community. And kudos to my mentor and best friend, Tom Cotter, for just being Tom Cotter. There is only one Tom Cotter, and we know him and love him very dearly. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Hey, 4 years ago, you didn't have any residential solar experience. Significant, right?
Zip zero nada. That's right.
Yeah.
Awesome. Great job, Bill. Thank you for sharing that. And yeah, kudos to Jared. He is on fire, and there is only one Tom Cotter. Thank God. All right, Mr. Jonathan Bernasso.
Hey,
what you
quick
got,
success
dude?
story. I went to an in-home appointment yesterday.
What?
I know. It feels like it's been years, but it was from the Diamond Bar Facebook buzzers. There's over 12,000 people in that group. A lot of people recommend and refer me, and I've been working that group in this community for a long time. And this 72-year-old lady and her grandson and her daughter had me over their house, and she appreciated the in-home presentation. She really appreciated no pressure. And because it was a recommendation, a referral, there was a lot of trust. So of course she signed up on the spot. So it's just such a great reminder that going in the home, making that personal connection. I gave her a hug as I left, asked which neighbors I can talk to. All of those activities are just, it just felt great to do. And then yesterday I had a Zoom call again in Diamond Bar. And because it was a referral from, again, Diamond Bar Buzzers community group, if you're taking notes, and they were on D-Care and they didn't have the highest bill, but I gave them all the information. I showed them the cash, lease. They wanted to see both options. They appreciated all the education. It was about an hour and 20 minutes. And we set a follow-up appointment for Monday next week. But I did make an ambassador out of it regardless. And they're going to put a positive review for me on the Facebook Diamond Bar community group because of the value I brought, and they're not going to shop around either. So anyways, just 2 great appointments yesterday, 1 in person, and wanted to share that.
Thank you for sharing that, Jonathan. Leading from the front, as always, just an incredible leader on our team. And speaking of leaders, don't forget to vote. Just a friendly reminder to vote before Power World, giving out the awards. I know who has my vote.
Hey, since we're doing success stories, 2 quick shout outs here before we move on, and feel free to type any success stories in the chat. But my goodness, Joel Gossett and Rhino Irwin, neck and neck, guys, in the contest with just 3-4 days to go. They're earning $30,000 extra, vying for the first place position to get that car on top of the $30,000, on top of the commissions they're earning also. It's ridiculous. But so many of you are earning thousands of dollars extra. Jordan Shaw, Jonathan Charles Wilson, Owen Carey, Chris Mitchell, Bill Conley, Julian Todd. I mean, tons and tons of you. Ubaldo, Colby, Brian Oates. So shout out to you all. A few more days left to just get to 12 points and get extra money in your pocket. And when we go look at the dashboard here, we can see month-to-date numbers. Rhino and Joel and Raj duking it out. Congrats to you guys. TST team, Zach, Mike, Jesse, Andrew here. You guys crush it like always, Spencer. And then shout out to Jordan Shaw, Owen Carey, Mohammed, Cynthia, all of you on the team here representing the top mentors in the company, John Wilson. So yeah, just more success stories. Again, Power's breaking 500 deals this month. We're cracking over 500 deals a few months in a row now. TPO continues to be about 40%, 45-50% of our sales. Loans are about 25 to 30%. And then cash, guys, is about 17% of our deals. So TPO is where it's at. And then loans and cash come in 2nd and 3rd place. But more success as we continue to round out the end of the year. I'm excited.
Awesome. Yeah, no, that is incredible stuff. Great numbers, great success. And just a reminder, you guys, it's the 27th. Contest ends on Saturday night at midnight, right? So now is the time to reach out to every single person you've talked to in the past 6-12 months that has not pulled the trigger. Another sense of urgency. I mean, yes, I will be reaching out to everybody and letting them know, hey, I'm trying to go on this epic impact journey, helping out families in Ensenada. But the other thing is this, and this is the reality, you guys, if they are doing a loan or cash, in order to qualify for the tax credit, they need to get their system installed before the end of the year. September is really kind of that deadline, right? End of August. You don't want it to be, the 27th or like the 23rd of December with Christmas and New Year's coming up and stressing out trying to get your deal installed before January 1st. So if that's not sense of urgency, I don't know what is.
Right. On that note, Jarrett, guys, we own our own businesses. If there's an end of month promotion you want to run and touch every single lead that hasn't signed, throw in a $500 rebate, throw in a gift card. We have new loans and new lease products. Hey, do you want to see our new promotions? And until the end of the month, there's a $500 gift card. And then when it's the end of the month, now you have a Labor Day promotion for the next week or two. I have a Labor Day promotion. So get your promotion, get your new loans, and touch every single client that has not sold and drive that urgency for the next 2 weeks. So that's our duty to do that. So I think at this time we can go ahead and move to Tom Cotter's inspirational quote of the day. Thank you, Jarrett. And then I'll have one update, social media shareable, and we'll get to today's training. So Tom Cotter, take it away.
Hey, I got a little story to tell real quick, and this is a little bit of a confession. Hopefully some of you won't think less of me after I tell you this. Is that a hook or not? So I graduated from college, from a little Bible college in Missouri that's about, 2.5, 3 hours south of where we live right now, which is where I met my wife, by the way. When I graduated from Bible college, I grew up in Napa, went to college back here in the Midwest, and came back to Clovis, California, and started at a little church called Clovis Christian Church as a youth pastor. And put a 1 in the chat if you've ever gone door to door selling something. I'm just curious. So I was very, Cynthia, Jesse, Timothy, I was super passionate about evangelizing other people when I graduated from Bible college. And so I took this youth group of amazing high school kids that I was pastoring and took them door to door to evangelize. And what night of the year did I pick that I thought people were most likely to open their door? Halloween, of course. So I took our whole high school group door to door on Halloween night, not in costumes, not to get candy, but to ask the question, if you were to die tonight and see Jesus, what would he say? That's a little bit weird, especially if you don't have a church background or didn't grow up in church. But that was my thinking at that time. I'm in a much different place right now. But when I graduated from Bible college, I was really, really into and kind of good at apologetics, which is not apologizing to people, but it's proving that you are right. And Jonathan is probably shaking his head. He's like, yeah, that totally lines up with your skills assessment. What I found, though, is that even though I could be really good at taking things from a book like Evidence That Demands a Verdict, if you've ever read that, even though I could, like, with surgeon's precision, prove myself right, it didn't matter. Because oftentimes, because I can just be direct or in a hurry or excited, it didn't matter if I was right. I lost that person and lost that relationship and was totally ineffective, at talking to people at their front door. So I tell you that story because not just about religion and talking to people about your religion, but because we're exiting summer, heading into fall, and it's election season. And we all have politics, whatever those may be. And Thomas Jefferson had this quote, and he said, whenever the people are well informed, they can be trusted with their own government. And that's, I think, if I'm being generous, what's behind a lot of the political posts that we people make on social media. it's well intended because we want to well inform, but think about, when was the last time that your politics were influenced in another direction by something that you saw posted on social media? While your politics, your ideas, maybe they could be 100% right, but think about that social media might not be the best place to inform other people about those thoughts. It might not be the best place to have a conversation about those thoughts. So we are in sales, and so team building, selling solar, we have lots of connections on social media that believe and understand politics in all kinds of different ways. So I just want to introduce an idea that maybe your politics, maybe even your religion is not best promoted on your social media channels. And I want to give you a different idea, because I'm not saying that we shouldn't talk about politics, we shouldn't talk about religion, but Thomas Jefferson had this thing that he did called the Jefferson Dinner. And one of the things that he's famous for is, saying that, people of different beliefs and political ideas were not offensive to him, that he didn't want to move away from people because of what they believe, but he wanted to listen to them and to understand them better. So think about, maybe better than Facebook would be having some people over to your house for dinner, or a meeting at a restaurant for dinner, and you looking at that link that I just posted in the chat. If you're listening later, it's jeffersondinner.org. Don't be afraid if it says it's a unsafe site. It's actually safe. But maybe you could engage with people around something you're passionate about: politics, religion, environmentalism, whatever it is. Maybe there's a different format that's going to be more rich and meaningful for you. There's something different that happens when we eat together too, right? And again, it's not to sit around the table and argue, but it's more to listen and to understand. So I just wanted to introduce that idea that maybe talking about politics as we head into this next election is not the most professional, probably not the most effective thing that you could be using your social media for. Rather, it's more conversational and eating together. So hopefully that resonates with some of you. If it doesn't, look at the stuff that's on social media and think about how productive it really is. Back to you, Jonathan and Jarrett.
I feel personally attacked. Just joking. No, it's definitely not the move if you're in sales. There's no point in pissing off half of your friends list, especially when we're trying to gain them as customers. People are taking it very personal, and that's great strategy.
All right, y'all. Yeah, let's just talk about solar and make money with solar, huh? Help the environment. Let's do that. All right. So as some of you know, we have a power marketing Google Drive of a bunch of stuff that I've accumulated over the years. Feel free to use it all. Something new we're going to be starting up on this Tuesday training. There's a folder in this called Social Media Shareable. So we are all going to blanket the internet. We're going to click on August. And here is your social media shareable of the day. It is a customer review that a power customer has left. And let me go ahead and share it in the chat for you all as well. But feel free to click into that Google Drive there that I put. And the image is also in the chat. So let's go ahead and download that image and share it on your LinkedIn, your Facebook, your Instagram, your stories, your reels, maybe a client that you haven't heard from that ghosted you. Save this in your phone, favorite it, bookmark it. We're going to blanket the internet with this review today. This is an actual bill and an actual review, and this customer, Steven, is in Diamond Bar, Southern California, but that, doesn't technically matter right now. This is just a great review and a great picture of a $20 electric bill. So that is your social media shareable of the day. And one or two quick updates. We have a lot of updates here from Jonathan Budd. So read your Monday newsletter. Sunnova domestic content is changing. So be very knowledgeable about Sunnova. Attend the calendar office hours for Sunnova. Sales operations is moving in the organization, which is great. It's going to be under Cami now. And then summer contest is almost up this month. Power World in Florida is literally a few weeks away. So make sure to get your ticket for that. And more updates here in the Monday newsletter. And then lastly, make sure to vote for your People's Choice Award and the Andrea Budd Award as well. People's Choice, you can select a few people there, and Andrea Budd, one person from the field sales gets to go and one person from Power Corporate gets to go. The Andrea Budd Award, personally, I think Emily Budd is a great choice. Rachel McDonald's a great choice, or Megan Callahan's a great choice if you know them and they work with Power Corporate. So those are a few updates from today. And the social media shareable, again, the Google Drive is in the chat and the image is in the chat. You have to share that on social media.
Just
all right,
shared
with
it
that
on
said,
Facebook.
Boom, Tom beat you to it. With that said, guys, we are lucky to have Jonathan Charles Wilson again for a training today. He was kind enough to train on the stage in Power World at Carlsbad Corporate on his referral training, which was amazing. The recording is going to be coming soon for that. Today, we get to hear a little bit about the discovery call all the way to the close with Power and with Sunnova. He is masterful with TPO, Lease, PPA, selling the value with that. I think he even shared a Google Drive resource for you in the chat, which is very generous. I'll put it again in the chat. And he's just doing big things. There he is on stage at headquarters in the chat. But honestly, he's bringing energy, positivity, excitement, building a team. He's starting to earn passive income checks, hundreds of dollars on a Friday. And he literally shoots for very large compensation when he sells deals as well. So Jonathan, take it away, sir. Share your screen, and we're in for a treat, everybody.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you, JB. Appreciate it. How's the audio?
Sound great.
Okay, perfect. So I went ahead and shared, that link to my Sunnova closing SOP process. I wrote it up maybe a month or so ago. And I see this as an opportunity. I noticed a lot of people in solar, especially here on Power. TPO is kind of a newer thing. A lot of us haven't done a lot of TPO. Just a bit about my background in TPO before we jump in. So I've come from, it's my 11th year in solar. The past 6 years, I was with Sunrun Direct, door to door, built teams there, sold hundreds of Sunrun contracts. Prior to that, Vivint Direct, before Sunrun acquired Vivint. And I love PPA. I love leases. That's pretty much all I sell. Since I started all in with the platform in March, I've done just shy of 20 TPO deals. So not a crazy amount yet with Power, but it's ramping up. So I wanted to share with you guys my process. I didn't have time to put together slides for this one. So just bear with me here. It's going to be a lot of talking, but what I'm going to do is kind of, if you guys can open up that link and just kind of look at it, I'm going to walk us through the entire kind of closing process, start to finish. So kind of where this picks up, I just did the training on Saturday with the referral program. So where this training ends is with the referral program. And then you can watch that training at a later time and, figure out how to start, ramping up referrals and then pull them into this funnel. Something we're not going to get into is the appointment setting training. That's a whole other training, but let's assume you already have the appointment, you've scheduled the Zoom or the in-person sit down, and we'll just pick it up from right there. So the first part of the discovery process, I'll just kind of walk you through kind of step by step how I do it. And then I'll try to stay kind of mindful here of the chat. If you have any questions, feel free to throw it in the chat. I have my chat open here, so I'll keep an eye on that. So first of all, let's jump into discovery. So some of the stuff's pretty basic, right? You know, a lot of you do this, you're in-house or you're on the Zoom. And since all of my deals come from referrals, I'm going to kind of come from that presupposition. So I'm talking with the homeowner and I'm letting them know, hey, you know, thanks for taking some time to sit with me. You know, what has your friend or family member told you already about solar, right? So that's kind of my opener. That's how I'm getting into discovery right off the bat. You know, what do you guys already know, right? And just opening that conversation, I'm taking notes, right? Whether I'm in person or on Zoom, and all of that stuff is kind of starting to create this picture of this customer and what it is they're looking for. So that's some of the discovery. So let me tell you guys a quick story. I shared this actually at Power Day on Saturday. David Steele, I think he was on the call, made me share in front of everybody. And, you know, I think it was a good share. So I'm going to share it again. So I walk into this house. It's an in-person deal. It's out in Mentone, California. And I get there, walking up, talking to the daughter, and she says, hey, just a heads up, my dad's kind of an asshole. So I said, okay, cool. I dealt with assholes, no problem. Thanks for that. Get into the house, big family, lots of noise, shaking hands, sitting down. As I'm pulling out my device, are you mostly online or in person? Mostly in person. So I go into the house and I'm sitting there and I'm going through and I'm saying, hey, so while I'm getting set up here, just tell me, like, how long have you guys lived in the house? And they say, oh, we've lived in here 22 years. And I go, wow, 22 years and you've managed to avoid getting solar? How did you guys do it? Right? And so that's a good opener. You want to kind of disrupt their pattern and you want to get them thinking about, well, yeah, like, why haven't we done it? And really because you want to get all of the objections out as early as possible, right? If you're a good seller, good closer, that's number one. You need to get objections out within the first 5-10 minutes max. So then everything else just becomes a process that you're guiding them through. And you're going to see that as the process moves, it picks up momentum to the very end. Once we get to doc signing, you know, a lot of times they're not even reading it. They're not even looking through it. And that's kind of what you want. You want the trust levels to be high enough where they don't stop you and say, hey, wait. We need some time to think about this, right? Or let me read through it and then I'll get back with you. I mean, everybody's had that happen. And so anyways, back to the story. I sit down, I'm talking to this guy and families all gathered around the table. And I ask him and he says, well, honestly, I think solar is a scam and a complete waste of time. You know, so I go, oh, interesting. Okay, well, why do you think that? Why do you say that? And he says, oh, okay, well, my sister, you know, she's had solar and she's got 2 bills. She's paying the utilities. She's paying more money than what she actually paid, you know, before she got solar. And so I think it's just a complete, you know, ripoff and a waste of time. And I said, okay, well, you know, there could be a few reasons why, you know, she's getting that. Maybe she's, you know, not producing enough power. Maybe we need to add some more panels, right? Trying to explore some of that, going over that objection. And he says, well, and on top of that, you know, you're 15 minutes late, right? And I was 15 minutes late for our appointment. And so this guy was getting pretty aggressive. I looked back at him and I said, well, okay, I don't need to be here then. You know, I can go. I came out here to help you guys. And so if you want, I can give you that information and see if I can help. If not, I can just go right now. And the entire room got quiet really fast. And all of a sudden the wife and everyone, you know, jumps in and they start, no, he's just ignore him. He's like this, just, you know, keep moving. We want to hear this. And I said, okay, well, I said, look, I can keep moving, but he's the one that's on the title of the home. So I need to make sure that he's going to be participating in this. Otherwise, this is a complete waste of my time. Okay. So this is the conversations that we need to be having with our homeowners right off the bat. Now, obviously, that's pretty rare. Most people aren't that aggressive off the bat, but this was kind of one of those. So this discovery kind of started off a bit intense, but generally speaking, it's going to be way smoother. So I don't want to scare away any new sellers, right? But if you're new to this, most of the time people are going to be willing to hear you. They're going to be willing to have a conversation. So that's kind of the discovery. You want to start asking these questions. Now, before I get into the actual presentation, now I'm going to do what's called framing, right? So framing the conversation does a couple things. One, it develops a trust in the customer, because customer wants to know, okay, what is this guy offering? What does it cost? How long is he going to be here? And when is he going to leave, right? When's he going to let me get back to what I was doing before he got here, right? And so when you frame the conversation, you're kind of solving that problem and creating what's called safety in the personal development space. So when you create safety, what that's going to look like is, this is a talk track I'll use. I'll say, okay, Mr. Homeowner, so what we're going to do today is the main objective is to schedule a site survey to see if your home actually qualifies for solar. In order to get there, we have an application process we need to fill out, and we obviously need to go over your savings report and make sure everything makes sense. All right, so along this process, if you have any questions, feel free to stop me. And then you can also even throw in, do you have any plans after this? Just to kind of make sure that they're not rushing you and you're in control of the time. This is another one I see. A lot of people who are new to sales, they don't set a strong frame in the beginning. And then what happens is the customer actually feels some anxiety unconsciously because of that. And they'll start asking you questions like, oh, how long is this going to take? I have some place to go, right? Or, they're going to say that. So you want to ask that up front. Oh, hey, what do you have going on after this? Right? They're going to say, oh, you know what? Actually, I have XYZ going on. Okay, perfect. So do we have this much time, or how much time are we working with? Right? Make sure that and you're in control of the time frame while still getting participation and buy-in. Okay, so that's the frame. So far we're on the first part, which is intro, rapport, opening questions, frame. Then the second part, or the third part, is problem. So this is something I haven't heard taught on here, but I love this. I think this is probably the most important part of the sale. So I do a training on this that talks about kind of the 3 levels of salespeople, order takers, benefit sellers, and problem creators. So a lot of times in sales, we have people who are just order taking, right? Low level type of selling. They're just, plugging in stuff into a proposal report, sending numbers. They're not building value or creating a problem. And so really this is where we get to create a problem. So the highest level of selling isn't about the benefits. Oh, you're going to save a bunch of money, have blackout protection, blah, 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 blah. Nobody really cares. They could read a pamphlet for that. But what they need to understand is the problem. They need to understand the problem at the macro level, all the way down to their personal situation. So let me break that down. So again, after I framed it, said, okay, the main objective today is to get to site survey scheduling to see if you're eligible. We're going to go through your application process, look at your energy savings report. If everything makes sense, then we'll go ahead and see if your house is eligible for solar. Okay, so, and then I'll jump into the problem. So I don't know if you guys have heard or not, but there's a big problem here in the state of California, or ... fill in your state, right? This could be for any state, but I use California because that's where I sell. So there's actually a big problem in California with the way our power is delivered. And it's actually a bill that was passed called the California Renewable Energy Act. Have you guys heard about that? Right? That's going to open them up. Yeah, I think I've heard of that. They're going to say what they're going to say. Okay, great. So basically, you've probably noticed like all the new homes have solar, right? So all those new homes that have solar, that's because California has a roadmap to eventually get to 100% renewable energy. Now, basically along that roadmap, there's certain benchmarks that we have to hit. The next one is in 2030. We need to get to 30% of California being renewable. Right now, we're at about 12%. So we have a little bit of a ways to go. So we need to get more power generated local. Actually, 1/3 of California's power comes from out of state, like Arizona and Nevada. Did you guys know about that? And they go, no, yes. Cool. Yeah. On the 15 freeway, those giant high transmission power lines on your way to Vegas, that's shipping in power from out of state to get power here to SoCal. And so on one hand, there's kind of two parts to the problem. One, we don't make enough locally, and simultaneously our politicians are shutting down, quote, dirty power plants and creating a bigger demand. While simultaneously more people are getting electric vehicles, plugging in, using more power. You guys have probably gotten some of those notices over the years to not use tons of power between 4 and 9 p.m. Have you guys gotten those notices? Yeah, that's because California has a huge energy crisis. And to top it all off, the actual problem is solar itself. Okay, now why do I say that? It flips it on its head. They're like, what the heck? This guy's here to sell me solar, and now solar is the problem. I say, yeah, solar is actually a huge part of the problem, because the more and more people that switch to solar, the less and less customers that the utility company has. And where do you think they make up for that lost revenue and customers? How do they make up that loss? Right? They make it up by charging you for that lost customer. So basically, it's a game where eventually you can't sit on the sidelines anymore because you're forced to participate. Your rates are going to keep going up and up at a faster rate the more and more people switch to solar by design. It's intended to put pressure on you. Not everybody has a breaking point, Mr. Homeowner, where sometimes they say, you know what, $200 a bill of the utility, that's enough. I'm going to fire the utility. So some people, that's $1,000. I don't know what that threshold is for you, but for a lot of people, that's the primary reason they switch to solar. I always say people switch to solar for two reasons. One, they know somebody who got solar and had a great experience. And two, they want to be able to run their freaking AC and not have to pay a crazy high electric bill. Am I right? Cool. So that's the problem. Now, here's the solution. The solution's simple. If your house qualifies, we're going to put solar on your house, generate power, and then store it with batteries for nighttime use, all for one low rate for your electricity, essentially transferring you away from your existing utility provider and getting you into a new utility program. Now, the only catch is that not every homeowner qualifies, right? And so that's my job. My job is super simple. I just need to look at your home, see if it qualifies, get the application in. If it does, great, take advantage. If not, no worries, but fingers crossed, hope it works out for you, okay? So before we jump into qualifications, I go through the two L's. So I'll say, so look, how long have you guys lived in the home again? Oh, I've lived in it for this long. Okay, amazing. So in that time, have you guys ever looked into solar before? Has this ever been something you've done? Right? You're going to start getting into their history with solar a little bit more here. So they're going to say, okay, yeah, we've looked into it, or, whatever they say. Again, all of that's just, ammunition. And I'm going to say, okay, great. So basically, there's two ways you can get solar in California. So the first way is you can obviously buy it with a loan or cash, right? And there's benefits to that. There's reasons people do that. We'll get into those. And then the other way is what's called solar as a service, which is leases and power purchase agreements. Have you guys heard about those? Cool. So the problem in the past is that the old school leases, they actually used to put a lien against your property. Have you guys heard about that? Makes it really hard to sell, right? And so with this program, we actually have programs that are new that basically just work like a utility. You agree to pay a set price per kilowatt hour, just like you do with the utilities, except for it's a flat rate for all of your electricity instead of being on that kind of time of use or tiered structure, right? So at this point, I'll typically pull out their power bill, and this is where I go into kill the bill, right? I just explained the delivery. I explained that. I'm going to pull up their bill. I'm going to go through it with them and basically reiterate, see right here, you're paying for these delivery charges. Again, if your home qualifies, it's really simple. We're going to generate and store your power here on site, and you're just going to pay one flat price per kilowatt hour. That's going to be typically lower than tier 1. In fact, if your house does get pre-approved at a rate lower than tier 1, take advantage. Now, the way that rate is set, I don't have any control over that, unfortunately. Basically, what we're going to do is I'm going to show you, we're going to submit your project to some of our utility providers and see what rates come back, right? If that rate comes back below a tier 1, fantastic. That's considered a green light home. We'll recommend you move forward with the application today, okay? And then so that's what we're going to do to pre-frame it. Now let's jump into qualifications. So I'll say, great. So at this point, let's just jump into qualifications and just see if your house is a good fit. So I'm going to go through the common ones, obviously the roof, use that as an opportunity to ask, hey, have you guys had any roof leaks? So the main thing I want to highlight here on qualifications is every qualification question should be framed as a negative, in my opinion. Okay, should be framed as a negative. So what I mean by that is a lot of old school selling that kind of goes in the same vein of benefit selling. They teach you this whole yes ladder concept, right? Who's heard about the yes ladder in old school sales trainings, right? Old school doesn't work anymore. We find there's actually better neuropsychology, and people's brains are wired to remember negative more than positive. And so there's a lot of, anyways, more reason to frame it negative. So what I'll say is, have you guys had any roof leaks, any problems with your roof? No. Great. That's my first no. Okay, awesome. So the next one is you do have to have at least a 650 credit score. Would that be an issue for you guys? No. Okay. So that could be a good, potential. Do you guys have any major shit? Now this one I kind of know the answer to, but I'll kind of like pretend like I'm looking around the house. Do you guys have any major trees or shade? Or I don't know, I was kind of walking up and, oh no, we get great sun. Okay, good. So that could be a good, potential. Have you guys upgraded your electrical panel since you've been in the house? Yes, no, this one could kind of go either way. Okay, cool. So all of these things we're going to take a look at when we come out for site survey and check the roof, structure, electrical, make sure that there's no issues with any of those things, obviously before your house is eligible. Okay, and so you also need to have a form of active banking on file. Do you guys have an active checking account? Okay, why am I saying this? Because if I do a PPA lease close, what do I have to get at the very end? Right? So you need, the reason why a lot of you guys, I think some people struggle. I know a lot of newer reps or even just experienced reps you forget to do these things in the process. You get to a certain point and you go, well, I got the contract closed, but I didn't get the ACH banking information. Well, I got this far in the process, but I got stopped. A lot of times the reason why you got stopped is because you didn't pre-frame it earlier in the conversation. So if there's something you want to ask for later in the sales process, prepare them 10, 15, 20 minutes beforehand so their mind is primed. So I'll say you have to have an active form of banking on file. Do you guys already pay your utility bills online? Oh yeah, we pay our bills online. Okay, cool. So it'll be the same process. We just need to verify you have a form of payment on file. And then last qualification is patience. All right. I don't know if your friend who referred you told you, but it's a 3 to 5 month process to go solar. Okay. So I just ask, obviously we're in the summer right now. I know your bills are high. We want to get you set up as quick as possible. And unfortunately, solar is not a fast process. I'll be your primary point of contact from A to Z. So if you have any questions throughout, reach out to me, but just know that it's not going to happen quick. We have to get approvals from the city and from the utility company, which makes this project a little bit different. We have to get permission to interconnect to the utility's power grid. Okay. So I'll go into the, so at this point in the process, I'll go into the kind of process of going solar. I'll say, so just to kind of run you through how the process moves. So first step, obviously today we're looking at the utility bill. We're going to go over your savings report in just a moment. If everything looks good, we'll go ahead and complete your application process, right? Why do I call it an application process? Because it's not a contract. It's not a commitment. It's not, I'm going to for sure 100% do this today, right? And these are all things to remove buying pressure and defer decision-making, right? Remove buying pressure, defer decision-making. If you do that combination well in your sale, it's going to go smooth as butter. And so when I'm explaining the process, I'm projecting them into the future so they can understand what's going to come, because when they have a clear vision of what's going to come, again, it creates safety, security, it relaxes the nervous system. So after the application is done, we're going to go ahead and submit that application, schedule a site survey for you. The survey is going to be about an hour. They're going to come out, check up in the attic, check the appliances inside, about 15, 20 minutes. Then they're going to go outside, take some pictures of the roof, check the roofing, look at the electrical panel, make sure you don't have any issues there. In terms of your structure, the main things they're looking for are dry rot, mold, termite damage, anything that could cause a structural compromise. Have you guys had any of those issues in the home? No? Okay, awesome. So we'll take a look at all that stuff when we come out to survey. After survey comes back, it takes about 1 to 3 weeks, typically about 2 weeks to get those final results. It goes through a quality review process, and then I will be able to give you those results. At that point, that's your decision point, right? That's the way I frame this. That's your decision point, and also that's our company's decision point to decide whether or not we want to take on your project, right? Why is that important to frame it that way? Because they're not in charge and we're not fully in charge. This is an equal thing. So I'll say, so just to be clear today, in just a minute after we go over the numbers, we'll get your application done. That in no way obligates you or our company to fulfill any work, but it's a statement that you're interested and that you want to get this process started. And then if everything works out, great, take advantage. You're going to love the program. Cool. So after everything's approved and you sign off, we get the permits going. Once permits come back 2 to 3 weeks later, typically we'll schedule your installation. Installation's a couple days. It's actually pretty quick. You're going to be able to get everything done in a few days. You will have a loss of power for a handful of hours while we switch over the electricity in your home. So just be aware of that. Once the system is installed, we coordinate the inspections with the city and get approval to interconnect with the utility on your behalf. So we handle all that for you. That can be another 1 to 2 months. So once all that's done, you'll receive your final billing from the utility, and then you'll be switched on to billing with one of our utility providers, which typically is 30 to 40 days after permission to operate or system activation. Okay, and so once that happens, at that point, you're going to be switched on to what's called net metering. Okay, now for time's sake, I'm kind of going as quick as I can here. I'll go into net metering specific for that area, explain how it works. So obviously here in California, I'll say, hey, you're still going to pay that minimum connection fee of about $15 a month to obviously still connect to the grid. But for all intents and purposes, if we build your system properly with enough battery and solar, you're going to be running essentially off grid the most of the time. Okay. I'll explain the buyback rates in September, go into that, do the math on my calculator, pull out my calculator, show them the buyback rate in September, and then explain the differences in batteries. So with batteries, how I explain that is I say, look, batteries have 3 functions. It's real simple. The first function of the battery is what's called self-consumption mode. Now that's the primary use of the battery. It's just like it sounds. You're going to consume from that battery at nighttime when the sun is not out. So in the day, you're going to run off the sun, and then any extra power that you're not using from the sun is going to charge that battery for nighttime use. 11 months out of the year, you're going to keep that battery for yourself and be kind of selfish and not send any power back to the grid. Okay, so the second function is what's called export function, where you're able to actually discharge power back to the grid during certain times. Now, remember I said in September between 5 and 7 p.m., Edison has a really big buyback rate. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to automatically program your batteries to discharge and take full advantage of those credits. And then the third function is actually an optional functionality. It's called backup protection, or basically a generator. It's going to be able to switch your power off grid if there was an outage. Now, the reason that that's optional is that costs an additional $3,000 to $4,000 to add that in. So really, I only recommend that option if you guys have a lot of power outages, or that's something that you guys want to have, is that blackout protection. So with that said, have you guys had any power outages recently? Cool, right? And so qualify it, and then they, oh yeah, no, we don't get them. Okay, great. Well, I'll show you the 2 options, but most of my homeowners don't really get a ton of power outages, so I'm going to focus mostly on the self-consumption non-backup battery. Cool. So notice how as I walk people through the process, I'm kind of eliminating options off the table, right? Logically. And then so I talk about last thing before I present price. So all of this is before I've even gone into the proposal tool. I would say I spend about 30 to 40 minutes kind of setting the stage before I even get to pricing. Because once we get to price, we're moving. Like, I'm not even going to go through contracts super in depth. Like, I'm going to keep it light. The first part's a lot deeper. So I'm going to talk about the major pitfalls to solar. I go a little bit more in depth into this one on last Saturday's training where I talk about, some of the pitfalls, but I'll just cover some of the big ones. So I'll say, look, before we jump into the numbers here, I just want to cover a few of the main pitfalls to solar just so you can know what to look out for, right? So the number one pitfall to solar is what's called a true up bill. This is where you hear about people who get solar, they end up paying an additional fee to the utility at the end of the year because their system didn't produce enough power, or they used more power, whatever the situation. And this is where I go into sizing. I talk about batteries. I talk about how a lot of reps are undersizing batteries. I explain the math on that. And basically I say, and that's a whole training in itself, so I'm not going to go really deep into that, but my battery training is pretty awesome. But basically I'm going to just explain why we need to build the batteries correctly and why that matters. And then I'm also going to talk about how the process takes a long time, again, reiterate that, 3 to 5 months, right? And so if you have questions, reach out to me, but just know, like, we can't push this thing faster than that. That's just how long it takes. And then the last thing is customer service issues. So this is where I frame every customer service issue as more of a rep problem than it is a company problem. And the reason is that if you do this correctly, you won't have people looking online for reviews. So the reason people look online for reviews, and I've sold for Vivint and Sunrun and all these companies that have terrible reviews, so I know how to sell past reviews. One of the ways you do it is you remove the need to look for reviews at all in the presentation. And how you do that is you talk about customer service. You say, look, one of the big problems in solar is that companies come and companies go. If a company's out of business, their warranty obviously is no longer valid. And so with us, I only pick the top 2 nationwide providers to show you, options that hopefully aren't going to go anywhere. Obviously, we can't control that. But if you have any issues before, during, or after the installation of your system, reach out to me. I'm your primary point of contact. So obviously you can always reach out to the company, but here's how I kind of weave in referrals into the conversation. I'll say, so Mr. Homeowner, selfishly, I want to do an amazing job for you and solve any problem that you have. So you want to refer me to your friends and family. Right. And so if you have any issues, I want you to bring it to me first, because if I can solve those problems, in my experience, you're going to be much more likely to want to give me a referral. Does that make sense? Yeah, because that's why I do it. It's kind of selfish. I know, right? Ha ha ha. But it's like, that's why I do this, is because if I do a great job for you guys, I know you're going to want to refer me to your friends and family. So just, practice saying that. So then I get into the presentation, all this before I presented anything. Cool. So now I get into the presentation. Here's how I do it. I will go down and I don't have my cues. In a perfect world, I would have been a little bit more prepared for this, but I have my vision proposal set up. I go straight to the page where it has the design of their house. And I say, okay, so here's the preliminary design. I go over that with them, show them the aesthetic and show them the equipment, talk about the panels, the batteries, why we use top of the line equipment, better than some of the competitors. Then I scroll down and I go to the cash price. And I say, hey, Mr. Homeowner, just so you're clear, this is what it would cost if you were to buy the system, $50,000 or whatever it is. Kind of give them a little sticker shock. So what I'm doing is what's called, this whole psychology in this next part is called price conditioning. Okay. Anyone who's done pro selling knows the term price conditioning. What you want to do is you want to condition them to think the price is up here. Every advertisement does this. Oh, now for $9.99. Oh, we're slashing the price for this limited time offer, blah, 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 right? Everyone's been price conditioned to death. So what I want to do is show them the cash price. Yeah, this is what it would cost. Here's the tax credit. I use it as an opportunity to educate on the tax credit. So I say, look, this is a big pet peeve. A lot of solar pros out there talk about a rebate or getting money back from the government. Quite frankly, that's one of my pet peeves because it's not true. So solar is what's called a non-refundable tax credit. So there's refundable tax credits and non-refundable tax credits. Solar is a non-refundable tax credit. It's just like it sounds. The federal government will not refund you that money. It's only a dollar for dollar credit against any existing tax debt or liability. Okay. So what if you're, and then I ask, are you W-2, 1099? Okay, if you're a W-2, what you need to do is actually change your withholding. So you take home more from your paycheck every single month, and then you set aside that extra money and use that to pay towards the loan. Otherwise, you're not going to get that tax credit. Now, why am I doing it like this? I'm making it complicated because they don't want to do that, right? They don't want to do that. So all of you out there who are stuck on selling loans, stop, okay? Stop. You frustrate me a little bit. In California, maybe in other markets, that's fine. If you're in California and you're still stuck on loans, here's why you shouldn't be stuck on loans. Because if you know that's the way you get the tax credit, then you're going to be, and you set that expectation properly, the homeowner is going to disqualify themselves. They're going to say, oh, that sounds complicated. That sounds like a pain in the butt. Like, you'll read it on their face. You'll see it on their face. And good. You don't want them to buy the system, right? But you're not going to say that. You don't let on, right? You do a JB and you just play calm, cool, and collected, right? And so that's where you stay chill. And then you go to the loan. Hey, right now, the cost of money is expensive, right? Interest rates are high. Cost of money is expensive. The best we have right now, if you wanted to do like a same as cash, we have a really awesome 8.99 rate where it's same as cash. You're just going to, really, that's the best way to go if you're going to buy the system and pay it down in the first couple of years. Or if you want to get that 3-4%, they have what's called a dealer fee. Think of it kind of like a rate buy down in a mortgage. You're going to pay a little bit up front to buy down your rate. And so, you can go that route if you're looking for a better monthly payment, right? But, for a lot of people, this is why buying solar doesn't make sense, right? Who wants to spend, here's the one-liner. Who wants to spend $40,000 to $50,000 just to save a couple $100? Am I right? Who the heck wants to spend $40,000 to $50,000 just to save a couple $100? Okay. So and then once you get them to agree, done. You just killed the loan. They're not going to come back and say, oh, well, we thought about maybe do a loan or blah, blah, blah. No, like that's where the sale falls apart. Your job as a closer is to close every door for every other opportunity that their brain is going to think up when you're not present. If you don't close those doors and there's a door you left open, they're going to find it. And mark my words, right? I know anyone on here who's been in sales for a long time, or especially in solar, that the deals that fell through is because you skipped a step. It's because you thought, oh, I got this deal in the bag. This is easy. You start flying through, you skip a step. And then the reason they cancel is because, oh, wait, I forgot to cover that. So if you'll notice, I'm very thorough. Most of my presentations are a minimum of an hour and a half. So anyways, we'll get into, so then I explain, okay, so that's loan, that's cash. Let me show you what the most popular option is, right? Notice how I frame that. Let me show you what the most popular option is right now. It's actually called a power purchase agreement. Record this in your brain what I'm about to say. Okay. So it's called a power purchase agreement. It's just like it sounds. It's an agreement to purchase power from Sunnova as your new electric provider instead of from Southern California Edison. I'm going to say it again. Power purchase agreement. It's just like it sounds. It's an agreement to purchase power from Sunnova as your new electric provider instead of PG&E as your new electric provider. You just fill in the utility. Okay. So now the frame is it's what you now. Why would I do it like that? Because people don't like change, right? That's the reason why a lot of people don't take action in life. They don't like change. That's sales 101. So you need to compare your product to what they're already doing, right? They're already paying a utility bill. They're already paying an electric bill. So, hey, if your house qualifies, great. We're just going to switch utility providers and you'll pay for all of your electricity to Sunnova as your new electric provider instead of your utility. Right now, the only catch is not every home qualifies. And so that's what we're going to get into. So this is where I go into the Sunnova proposal. So at this point, I've switched from Vision. Now I'm in Sunnova, right? I'm scrolling down. I'm looking at the beautiful app. Hey, you're going to be able to monitor how much battery power you have, what your solar's producing, all in real time. You're going to have complete control over utility. Right now, how you pay your bill is you just use power. You don't know how much you're using until they send you the bill at the end of the month. Am I right? That's how you pay it. So you don't know how much you're actually using until the end of the month and you get hit with the bill and you don't have any control over what you're paying. All of that's going to end once we switch you over to solar. Okay, so let me get it. Then I get into the warranties. I talk about the 25-year, right? That's below that part. And I say, hey, so this 25-year front to back coverage. If they're considering a loan, I'll kind of juxtaposition the two, and I'll say, look, if you get the power care 30-year extended, and I'll kind of just go through the differences, right? But I'll say, okay, for this 25-year coverage front to back, 10 years on the roof. Obviously, if there's any roof leaks, they're going to be exposed within the first year. But you have a full 10 years. Again, why do I say it that way? Because if I say, oh, it's 10 years, and they go, well, how do I extend it to 25? Or they start throwing out questions like, and then you're like, oh, well, they don't extend it to 25. It just makes it weird. So that's why I'll say, hey, it's 10 years, but if there is any issues, typically they're going to be exposed in the first year, and that's completely covered for the full 10. Cool. So then I'll go into passing price. Now, when it comes to selling a PPA versus anything else, what I'm going to focus on here is the rate per kilowatt hour, not the payment. I don't focus on payment. I focus on the rate. Why? Because I killed the bill in the beginning. I'm now going to go back to the bill, and I'm going to remind them, hey, so remember earlier we were looking at your bill, and with Edison, you're paying 39 cents a kilowatt hour on average. The good news is we actually got you pre-approved at 24 cents a kilowatt hour for your power. And at that 24 cents, that's for all of your electricity. Now, that's a great scenario. How this works is your house is a really good house for solar. We actually looked, you have a lot of good south and west facing roof, and you don't really have a lot of trees. So your savings is honestly better than most houses that I see. Like, hopefully everything qualifies and it works out for you. Because if so, you're going to be saving about 40% off of your rate, right? Why do I say off of your rate? Because if I'm sizing it properly and I'm building the system bigger, right? Who's ever been in this scenario where all of a sudden you show somebody like 120 offset system with batteries and you build it properly and they're not really saving a ton of money? And then you're like, well, I got to drop my price. I got to go a little bit lower. No, it's because you're focusing on the payment and you're making the customer focus on the payment. And they're going, well, my average electric bill is 200 and yours is going to be 180. And you're like, well, yeah, that's because I sized your system bigger and you're going to have extra power. And I made sure you got enough battery capacity. A lot of sales reps right now, do you know what they're doing? They're just building a system to 100% offset, throwing one battery on there and saying, F you, thank you, bye-bye, have a great day. That's what they're doing because it looks better on paper. And it makes me angry, if you can't tell. It makes me angry because as a professional, we need to be fighting for our customers. We need to be advocating for our customers, educating our customers to say, hey, look, that's great. There's a lot of companies out there doing that, but we want to make sure you're not just building a system for what's right now, but we're building a system for the future. Because here's the thing, we can come back and we can add panels later or batteries later, but it's kind of a pain in the butt. Might as well just get it right the first time. Okay. So you want to roll them into this, get them on your side on this, because then if you're selling them on the rate, if they're getting an extra 2,000 kilowatt hours, well, great. You're getting an extra 2,000 kilowatt hours at 24 cents, right? And 24 cents is amazing. Now, and then this is where I go into the escalator. This is really important. So I don't like zero escalators. I've sold one, I think, since I've been here. It's just, you don't make as much. And honestly, here's what I find. When customers start asking for things like that and you say, oh yeah, we have a zero escalator, we can go that route, then it starts to derail the sale. Then they start getting into decision fatigue. Well, should I do it this way or should I do it that way? And right. And so you want to eliminate all these millions of options and narrow it down to like one or two options is really what you want to do. And so I'll say, so it's 24 cents. Here's the best part about our program. It actually has a rate cap of 2.9%. So remember how we looked at the utility rates? They've been going up about 10 to 15% year over year, for the past 4 years. In fact, we've never seen the utility rates only go up 2.9%. Basically, that 2.9% just keeps up with the cost of inflation to manage and monitor and repair your system over the entire life of it. So that 2.9% is capped, can't exceed that. And then this is where I'll actually show them on my calculator, and I'll pull up on my calculator and I'll go, okay, So year one, we're going to start at 24.5 cents times 1.029. That means I'm compounding 2.9% on that 24.5 cents. So year two, it's at 25.2 cents, right? And then I do it again and again. And I keep hitting equal, 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 equal until I catch up to what they're paying right now for their utility, which typically in Edison, it's like 17, 18 years. And I'll say, Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, it's going to take 17 years for us to catch up with the rates that you're paying right now with the utility company. What do you think the utility company's rates are going to be in 17, 18 years from now? Right? Now, get them to say it, because if they don't say it, it's not true. They need to say, for the past 5 years, and I'll even show them on, I always say show and tell. I know I'm doing a bad job of that right now. We're already over time, but I'll say, look, let me show you what the rates were back then. Let me show you what the rates are now, and I'll show them. And then I'll ask them, this is the past 5 years. What do you think the next 5 years are going to look like if you had to guess? Great. Cool. So at this point now, that's the best part. The best part is that you're only capped at 2.9%. It can never go up by more than that, right? That's the whole framing of it. And then I'll say, okay, cool. So the next part is super simple. After I've passed price, next part's super simple. I'm going to go through the application process with you. There's 2 DocuSigns we're going to go through together. Have you guys done DocuSign before? Right? I'm prepared. Have you guys done that? Oh yeah, we've done it a million times. Okay, perfect. So I'm going to cover some of the main bullets on each of these documents. I'm not going to read through everything. You've already heard me talk for too long today anyway. Ha ha ha. So I'm going to give you that. We're going to go through the bullets, sign that off today. You're going to get copies of those. You can read those over the next 3 to 4 weeks while we determine if your house is eligible for solar or not. Okay. So then I'm going to pull up, pre-qual credit, verify their contact info, get date of birth, remind them, hey, look, this is a soft check. We'll never show up on your credit. We just need to verify you're able to pay your utility bills. Cool. Plug it in, qualify. CPUC, I go through those first 4 pages pretty quick. I'll say, hey, look, false claims, free solar, blah, 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 blah. Kind of just hit each of the bullets, sign it, send it to them, sign it. On the agreement page, here's what I do. I just read through the summary. I think it's on page 3 of Sunnova. It just has a summary on the first part where they have to initial, and it's got like a couple of dozen bullet points. And I'll say, hey, I'm going to go through the summary page with you today and then have you sign off with the other initials. I've covered everything pretty thoroughly, so there shouldn't be any surprises. But if you come across anything and you have any questions over the next 3 to 4 weeks, just feel free to text or call me with any of that info. Cool. We'll sign those off. Once those are signed, obviously I'll pull up the validation process on my computer, get that set up for them, create their account, walk them through, and then verify a form of payment. And then when I get to the form of payment, this is where a lot of people get stuck. Remember, I already told them in the qualification that we need to verify active form of payment on file. So I'll say that again. I'll say, hey, cool. So this last part is they just need to verify you have an active form of payment on file. Obviously, we don't bill you for anything until your system is active, but they just need to make sure you have a checking account. So I just need the routing and account number for me. Cool. So you get that, plug it in. Awesome. And then you set the expectations for survey. Okay, awesome. Everything's set. So over the next 3 business days, you're going to get contacted by our survey scheduling team to get that survey scheduled. Remember, it's just an hour. They're going to need somebody home, check in the house, look up in the attic, do an exterior walk. And then that's it for today. And then I'll say, this is kind of where I'll plant the referral seed, and then you can watch my referral training. I'll say, awesome. So obviously you were referred to me from Joe or whoever. And so you actually get a $500 rebate because you were referred from a friend or family member. And the way it works is if you refer me to any friend or family member, you get $1,000 cash bonus and they get 500. That's the way it works. So they'll get 500, you get 1,000, and the chain continues. That's how I do all of my business. Now, obviously, this is the pullback on the referral. I'll say, now, obviously, we don't know if your house qualifies yet. So, you might want to hold off and just make sure you're eligible. But hey, if you are eligible, great. We'll talk more about referrals at a later date. Okay. So that's as compressed as I could have made it. I know I'm way over time. Any questions for me?
Dude, we don't have any time for questions.
Give Jonathan.
No, I'm just joking, dude. Incredible. Incredible, Jonathan. You are getting
Drop the
love,
mic.
showered with love in the
I
chat.
appreciate the
And as somebody who considers himself a top tier closer and has been in sales for 25 years, that is so high level, you guys. I highly recommend watching the recording of this training and then do it again, and then do it again, and then do it again. And I'll be posting this recording to my YouTube channel here very shortly today. So make sure you guys are subscribed to it. You'll get it as soon as you can get it. Share it with your friends. Awesome. Awesome.
Thank you, Jared. Appreciate it. Cynthia, did you have your hand raised?
Yeah, just a compliment. I saw a little bit of this at Power Day the other day when you presented. But what I wanted to say for people that are watching, more than just Jonathan saying like the perfect thing or having like a really good script, which he does. A lot of it, I think, Jonathan, is you take the time to go through all the detail and you showcase your knowledge. So what people are receiving are that you are giving them a thorough explanation, and that builds a ton of trust. So for those of you listening, also don't feel like you need the exact same script, right? It's a really good script, but take note that the reason that he's closing so well is because he gives so much information. He spends so much time with them, and that's going to build an enormous amount of trust. It's going to show all of his knowledge. And it's going to help a lot that you are closing all the objection doors. And so anyway, just a shout out. Just wanted to make that note, but nice job.
Thank you so much. And I'll plug myself for this. If you want me to plant the seed of an amazing referral tree in your business, you can tag me as a tier 3 mentor.
Thank you. I was going to say that, guys. One of the ways we can compensate our trainers, if you're newer here, tag him as a tier 3. We have amazing ones, obviously, but my goodness, Jonathan. And guys, the genuineness, the objections out of the front, saying some of the pitfalls of solar, doing it in a calm way, genuine way, some of the jokes, like I'm genuinely paying attention and want to sign whatever he's offering me. Just because of his inflection and the way he's doing it. So take note in what he's saying and how he does and how smart he is, but then it's the way he says it and how he's presenting it and approaching the pitfalls. It gains trust through and through. So again, extremely well done.
Stop it, guys. Stop. I appreciate the love, you guys. Thank you so much. Yeah, no, I'm grateful to bring some value. If you have any more questions, I'm going to go ahead and throw my contact in the chat. You can shoot me a text, shoot me a call. I'll get back to you if I'm not available. And yeah, super glad to bring value. I want to see more TPO in the market. I believe in TPO. I've been a huge believer in it. And I think we can all get better at selling TPO. So hopefully this training has helped you guys do that.
Awesome. We will upload this training to Jarrett McAllister Virtual Solar Pro YouTube, my YouTube, and then keep a lookout. We will be sharing Jonathan's referral training from headquarters as well, which is even more than what we just heard today. So stay tuned for that. Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you, Jarrett and Tom. Game on. A few more days left to the end of the month, guys. Let's get it.
Let's go. Thank you, Jonathan. Bye-bye, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Hey, guys. Thanks for tuning into this episode. If you haven't already, subscribe to the podcast wherever you're listening. You can also follow me on the socials, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, you name it. All those links will be listed below. Now, if you're looking to get started on the path to selling solar virtually, look no further than Power. Power is a decentralized solar platform that gives you the ability to sell 100% virtually in 25 plus states and growing. Their platform gives you the advantage to offer your clients a variety of different panels, inverters, roofs, batteries, and even EV chargers. Brands include Enphase, SolarEdge, Tesla, Franklin, and Span Smart Panels. Power offers multiple zero-down financing options, including loans, PPAs, and leases. And with their revolutionary cost of goods sold model, 5 different streams of income, and world-class training, There is nothing else like it in the solar industry. If you're looking to get started, go to power.com. That's POWUR.com/virtual solar pro/join and start selling solar virtually today.